Big 12 is doing away with the preseason media poll, but today we discuss where we think the media would have put West Virginia and where I believe the Mountaineers should be heading into the 2025 season. Today on BT. How are we doing, everybody? Happy Sunday. I'm Schuyler Callihan. Make sure before we get started to hit that like and subscribe button here on our YouTube page at West Virginia on SI. We've got a very busy week coming up as Big 12 Media Days are going to take place at the Star in Frisco, Texas, West Virginia. And Rich Rodriguez are going to be speaking to the media on July 9th. Don't know of the order as of the time of this recording. We are recording ahead of Sunday. But anyways, West Virginia will be talking this week. It'll be Landon Livingston, center, wide receiver Jaden Bray, and defensive lineman Edward Vesterinen. That'll be speaking along with Rich Rod. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about what would be around the time that the Big 12 media the Big 12 releases their preseason media poll, where teams are projected to finish. And there's always this big type of conversation that comes around this, but not this year, folks. They are doing away with it. The Big 12 coaches and athletic directors have decided to get rid of this. And to be quite honest with you, I have no idea as to why. Now, obviously, last year, the media picked Arizona State to finish dead last. They ended up winning the whole damn conference. The year before that, they picked West Virginia to finish dead last. They finished fourth. So the media has not been on top of things in terms of picking who should be at the top, who should be at the bottom, and everything in between. But it still doesn't make sense why you get rid of it, right? This is something that provides excitement, provides conversation in the dark days of summer in July when there's really not a whole lot going on, even on the recruiting front. The transfer portal stuff's way in the background. Your roster is pretty much set for the season. High school recruiting is kind of in a little bit of a dead period. There's not a whole lot of movement there. There's no visits going on. So this is really kind of the one thing that a lot of college football fans can get excited about in some way or get pissed off about, is that you have something to talk about. And for coaches, I don't understand why they would want to get rid of this. It's something that they can point to as motivation. Because let's take the Big 12, for example. 15 out of the 16 teams are going to be upset with where they're ranked, right? So out of those 15 teams, those coaches can use that as fuel to the fire. Neil Brown did it 2 years ago. That was the rally cry around that whole 2023 season was, hey, they picked you 14th. 14th. Remember the Charles Wesley Godwin speech, which was beautifully done, by the way. I mean, why do you want to get rid of that? Why do you want to lose that extra piece of, billboard material? I don't understand why they would. Makes no sense. Even if you're the top team, even if you're the team that's picked to win the league, your coach can use that and say, like, hey, this is what teams or what people are thinking about you. This is what the expectation is, to go out there and win a championship. Now, of course, people can say that it could get the kids' heads. Trust me. We're talking this era of players from 18 to 23 or 24, sometimes even 25 or 35 years old. You have the few oddball cases out there that are much older than the rest, but these kids nowadays, they don't really remember this stuff. By the time it's released, they get to August, it's in fall camp, they get into the season, they're too worried about trying to get onto the field. They will not remember being picked as the preseason conference champion, if that's the case. And if they do remember, they really don't, it doesn't affect them that way, right? What will affect players is where they are projected lower than what they believe, and they use that as motivation. Again, I don't understand the whole reasoning behind it. Makes no sense. I don't know if other leagues around the country are doing this. Probably wouldn't be surprised if others followed suit. But if they don't, maybe the Big 12 just takes this as a one-year hiatus and brings it back next year. Hopefully that's the case. So, had the Big 12 not done away with this, where would WVU be ranked? My assumption is that the media would probably put them, what, 14th? Is that weird to say? I mean, it's again, this is not my prediction. This is not where I would put them. I'm going to have that out later this week in my preseason Big 12 rankings. Big 12 said the hell with it. I'm saying we're moving forward. We're going to keep doing this thing. But I would probably guess they'd be around 13, 14. You might get a little lucky with some folks giving them some respect and catching on to that nostalgic feeling of the early 2000s with Rich Rod being back. Maybe they get up to 12th. Highly doubtful, but that's probably where they would have been anyway. And for Rich Rod, it's not like he doesn't have other material. He's got everybody out there saying that this is going to be a team that finishes in the bottom of the Big 12 or bottom tier of the Big 12, however you want to phrase it. So he's got plenty of bulletin board material. But I think this is probably a team that's worth a little bit more than the credit they're getting, which isn't very much. Because if Rich Rod can hit on the quarterback situation, we assume it's going to be Nico. We don't know that. But if the quarterback play is average to above average and the defense isn't the crapshoot it was a year ago, then you probably have something. You're probably not going to finish in the bottom 3 or 4 of this league. I think the ceiling, ah, this is really tough. I'm putting myself on the spot here. The ceiling is probably middle of the pack, realistically. Now, could they shadow that? Sure, but I'd be stunned if they did. If they finished any higher than what, seventh or eighth? I mean, it's hard for me to find that many teams that are going to finish below West Virginia. There's a lot of good teams in the Big 12 this year. You got Baylor, Texas Tech, Kansas, Kansas State. Even though BYU's quarterback situation that whole thing that's unfolded, even with that going on, they're still a good football team. Um, and I think you're always going to have a surprise or two. You got Iowa State there as well. So I don't know if they could finish seventh or higher, but I would say the ceiling is probably eight, which would be the middle of the pack. But I don't want to give away where I'm going to put WVU, but it's not too far beyond that eight mark, but it's not too close to where I would assume the media would put West Virginia, which is, again, I would probably say that they would have put them at 14th. So somewhere between 8 and 14 is where I'm putting West Virginia in my Big 12 preseason power ranking. You'll have to find out later this week where I have in my explanation for it, which I'll probably end up popping back on here and explaining the whole thing. But yeah, I think there's so many question marks about this team, and you got to think about this from the media's perspective and from everyone's perspective. When you have this much turnover, coaching staff and roster, where the hell do you expect people to put them? I mean, everyone was jumping on to Phil Steele about him putting West Virginia dead last in his college football magazine. I mean, what do you expect? He's not going to be the only person that does that. And to be honest with you, if he had him in the top 10, I would be asking what Phil's on. I mean, let's just be real. There's so much change. You cannot predict that this much roster turnover and this much coaching staff turnover is going to, on paper, project to be a top 10 team in this league. It's a very challenging conference, and it's not an easy schedule by any means either. So I don't know why West Virginia fans are going to get all upset about it. I mean, I do understand it's just the fan in them, it's the passion, it's the want for the Mountaineers to be good, and I get that. But we're being realistic here. It's not a top 10 team in the Big 12 on paper right now. But if the coaching takes and those guys develop as the season goes along and they can gel together, who knows? But don't think we're going to have a Kurt Signetti, Indiana, year one, going to the college football playoff kind of thing on our hands. I don't think that's going to be the case. Best case scenario, You win 8 games, you win a bowl game, get the 9 wins, and call it a hell of a year. But I don't know. What's your guys' thoughts? Where do you think West Virginia would have been ranked in the preseason poll? Where do you believe they should be? And maybe you can convince me or sway me one way or the other where I should put WVU in my preseason power rankings that'll come out here in a couple of days. Let me know where I should put them and maybe a couple of others as well for a little bit of help. I'll give some extra credit points away too. That'll do it for us here today on Between the Eers. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button here on the YouTube page at West Virginia on SI, and we'll be back here in a couple of days. Take care.